Welcome to Transform Now, the podcast brought to you by robotic process automation pioneer Blue Prism. Digital transformation has the potential to reshape the way companies service their customers, engage their employees, and manage their operations. Whether you're looking to develop strategies, tactics, and best practices to positively impact the future of work, or you're curious to learn how other companies have successfully navigated their digital transformation programs, then this podcast is for you. We're here to help you transform now.
Hello, and welcome to Transform Now. This is Xina Seaton, Vice President of Customer Experience at Blue Prism and a co-founder of Women in RPA. I'm pleased to have with me today the team from WonderBotz, a Blue Prism Delivery and Technology Alliance partner, including Paula Carneria Kopp and 4 of her colleagues who are Blue Prism Community MVPs, Most Valuable Professionals. This is part 1 of a 2-part podcast with WonderBotz. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Paula.
Hey, Xina, how's it going? Thanks so much for having us. We're really thrilled to be here. Hello. And I'm joined by a team of the Fab Four, we'll call them for now, the first inducted Blue Prism MVPs. Gentlemen, do you want to say a quick hello?
Hey, hi, Xina.
Hi, Gina.
Hello, everyone. How about we give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves to our listeners? Devneet, let's start with you.
Sure. So, hello, everyone. So, I am Devneet Mohanty, and I have been inducted as one of the Blue Prism Community MVPs this year. I have been working as a senior consultant at WonderBotz, and I have been into multiple roles for the past 4 years, starting from as an RPA developer, even I have been a solution designer during my entire tenure. And yes, for me, it's always a learning cycle that is going on. And with Blue Prism, it has gone great so far.
Excellent. I cannot wait to hear more about your experiences throughout our podcast today. And let's go to Amlan. Amlan, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure, Gina. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, myself, Amlan. I have total 6.5 years of experience, but I'm total into RPA Blue Prism. I have 5 years of experience. And I am very old guy who is using Blue Prism community, I guess, out of these 3 MVPs here. And, it's very helpful, community when there was no source for RPA, we used to get a lot of help from community. And that's how I got interest into community and now I became MVP after 4 years, I guess. It's a long wait, but yeah, that's good. And currently I'm working as a senior RPA consultant in WonderBotz, but yeah, I am into multiple roles, sometimes working as a lead, sometimes working as a developer, sometimes working as a senior developer.
Perfect. Well, I think that variation of experiences is one of the reasons why you are a MVP for the Blue Prism community. And I'm sure one of the Fab Four, as Paula said, one of the reasons why you're a member of that group, along with Tejaskumar. Let's have you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be part of this team. Highly excited. Starting with myself, I'm Tejaskumar Darji, and I've been closely working with WonderBotz and Blue Prism both close to 2 years now, completely on the Blue Prism. So again, I've been also working with different roles, being a tester, developer, leader, and a lot of different roles through the RPA. Also, I'm, active in mentoring the new joinees in the RPA domain, right? Where we need to tutor them. We need to help them understand this entire industry. So I like that a lot about working here at WonderBotz and with Blue Prism, that we get a lot of opportunity.
I love opportunity. We're very pleased that Automation and Blue Prism is offering that opportunity to you, as well as WonderBotz. So MuraliKrishna, let's have you introduce yourself to the group.
Thanks for having us for today's podcast here. So myself, MuraliKrishna Kodi, so I'm from Odisha, India. So I have completed my bachelor's in electrical engineering, and eventually I've ended up in software engineering. So it was not planned actually. So I've been working with Blue Prism at around 5 years since now, and I'm currently working as a senior consultant automation developer with WonderBotz.
To accidentally end up in it's a very common theme that I hear. So I don't anyone actually studied automation. I have a chemistry degree of all things, so I don't really think it matters. But it matters where your passion is. So we're glad you found automation and we're glad you found us. So, Paula, let's give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and WonderBotz and tell us a little bit about your Fab Four and why they're being part of the community is important to WonderBotz.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Xina. So my name is Paula Cornero Cox. Now, that's the first time I'm introducing myself with that surname. And I am the Vice President of Business Development at WonderBotz. And what that means is that I'm responsible for finding new places to introduce automation to the community outside of the community. We all love and know automation where we're at. And I'm actually one of the ones too, came from a process design background and wound up playing with digital workers. I completely understand that the trajectory can be a little windy to get to automation. WonderBotz is really proud to be a Blue Prism partner. We have a long-standing relationship with Blue Prism. We've been noted for several awards from Blue Prism. And one of the ones that I wanted to draw attention to was for best practices. And best practices really means that what we give to our clients is the tools and the toolkits and really the ability and kind of training to get them on their track of automation in a way that's going to give them value and continue to produce value. We're not one of those partners. We don't believe in coming in, helping you get started and then abandoning, right? There's a lot of different tricks of the trade and we hire and we retain talent like these four gentlemen represented here because we know how important it is to our clients to have that peace of mind, knowing that they have folks that know what they're doing and that are trained and continuously upskilled. So training is very rigorous at WonderBotz, and folks like this who are dedicated to the program and dedicated to Blue Prism make my job easier, frankly. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so proud of these four, and I'm hoping that Fab Four is just a moment in time that we continue to grow and mature more community members that are of that MVP caliber. And with leaders like this, I think we have no problem checking that box down the road too. Thanks for having us, Xina.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the experience that these gentlemen bring in the various roles as they were introducing themselves really helps to have them be able to take a step back from the immediate automation at hand and really take a strategic approach to looking at that automation as opposed to just automating it with the 25 years of experience that we have combined between the gentlemen on the phone. So I want to give each of them an opportunity to share stories and talk about their perspective and how they really work with their clients to strategically move them towards transformation as opposed to just coding some automation.
And taking orders, right? Instead of just taking orders. What you'll hear today is just that these folks, they take a look at what's being asked, they understand what the business challenge is, and then they develop with the business solution in mind. And it's really awesome to see them at work. So I'm thrilled that they get to share their stories.
Yeah, me too. And so I want to start with MuraliKrishna. MuraliKrishna, last time we spoke, you mentioned design thinking strategies and how you apply design thinking strategy in your role as an automation specialist, automation developer. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the importance of using design thinking strategies in your role as opposed to just thinking about the technical aspect?
As a developer, as soon as we get started with the development cycle, so as we receive sign off from on the steps that needs to be automated from the business, so we'd have to evaluate how could this be feasible in terms of technical aspect. So from Blue Prism, if you can do it in a direct manner, if we follow the same step which I mentioned in the PDD or the business actual business process, so it might take some longer time. If the business person, actual SME is doing it in 10 or 20 minutes, the same thing if you do it via bot, if it is taking the same time, then there is no much value we can add to the automation. So in that way, we as a developer, from the design point of view, we think of other ways how we can reduce the time that is being taken by the bot. As an example, if I have to tell, so there's a process which downloads a report from a portal and which takes around 10 minutes because it has to go through multiple screens and input multiple inputs in all the fields, and then it has to wait for the file to be downloaded, and finally it gets the file. So this whole cycle takes around 10 minutes of time. So when we started development, so we thought this might not be the right way, because when it finally goes into production, it's not just one file we'll be doing. So we'll be having thousands of items which we'll be doing. So it will end up taking too much time to be complete that process. So in that thing, we tried of thinking in other way. So we found that we tried to talk with the application team, so with the business, and they responded very well. So we talked about an API, so which could return the file, and we had multiple calls with the business and technical team of the application team. So we finally come out to the approach where we can use an API and which can fetch out the file within a minute, which is a great achievement in terms of reducing the time how it used to take earlier. And it also reduces the error rate where we generally face in the UI automation. So it completely eliminates the UI interaction, and it's just an API call that we have to make through Blue Prism, and it makes the life of the developer easier and also from the business value as well.
Excellent example of how to take a step back and reimagine how to improve as opposed to just simply recode what the humans are doing today. That's the brilliance of having a digital worker. They can actually do things humans couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm curious, any perspective on how the employees reacted to that change? Were they pleasantly surprised with the improvement we're able to make?
Yeah, so as a process owner, right, so they're not much into technical details because they just use the interaction provided by the application team and they just go with the flow. So they never wanted to go with the application cross-check to improve the process speeds and all. So when we introduced the concept, they thought, is there a way that we can really do it in such a small time? So, but from when we think it of a Blue Prism and automation perspective, so it was possible. So when we showed them the solution, this can be done within this much time and can cut down this much processing time. So they were very much excited, but when they came to see the actual results, so we can see the happiness in their faces. So they were pretty amazed to see how fast the bot can perform the step which they used to take 10 minutes. I mean, I'm just taking example of one case, but as a full scale process, so they end up doing around 100 to 200 hours every month on doing this kind of processes, and which is mostly reduced to 20 to 30 hours as bot hours, if you can.
Wow. I think that deserves a wow. I'm impressed and really love hearing that story. And thank you for sharing it, MuraliKrishna. I want to add one thing that I think is really interesting is looking at it almost, if I can say, like a puzzle and pulling the pieces apart, saying what's the best piece to put back into the solution in order to make it the best solution. But what's interesting is that when I do a jigsaw puzzle, I have the top of the box. So I know the picture I'm going for. And I think often you don't have that end picture in mind. So I'd like to go to Devneet now. And Devneet, I'm interested in hearing about, do you see things like a jigsaw puzzle? And if you don't have the box, how do you take that approach of a jigsaw puzzle to overcome complexity that comes with automations, but you don't have the picture of what it should look like at the end? How do you approach that?
Yeah, like you said, like exactly, like a jigsaw puzzle excites everyone who who isn't interested in a jigsaw puzzle. So whenever I have come across, I would say the processes in my experience, I would say it's not only a collaboration between the developers, but yes, obviously the SMEs who are involved, the business counterparts. What happens is like when we go ahead for a solution, we just don't go with just get the requirement, like you just need to A or B or C, some particular step and just go with it. What we do is we actually probe them. We ask them questions. What if we go with that particular approach? Like we go through multiple iterations. Like whenever, let's say I have seen a process, I will be going through that application myself and I'll be looking at, okay, maybe if this shortcut can be used, or maybe if this step can be, redefined in a way, or then how it would like affect the business. So sometimes what happens, every time I can't say like every step you can go ahead and you can just remodify because there are some dependencies. But more the questions you ask, right? There are certain steps that even the business doesn't know at that particular point of time, because what they are doing is they are following a procedure that has just defined like certain steps. So they do not sometimes think out of the box at that moment. But when you bring automation to picture, everyone becomes happy. Like they are thinking like, okay, it might be some kind of magic that can just go ahead and make their life easier. So when you bring that kind of confidence, I think, into the business, into their minds, I think they also get excited. And that is how I have seen in many of my processes. Like whenever we have went with any automation, we have always first broken the automation into modular pieces, I would say. So when we break it into modular pieces, then we can, combine all of those things. Like we can stitch them together. Like maybe step A can come ahead after step B. So we can even transform the processes in such a way, because I think the ultimate benefit of an automation is not just automating the work that they are doing, but it is more on transforming the work they are doing. It is more on the digital transformation side, if you see. So I will even give you one example. Like I actually remember one very, I would say, success story that I have with me, which was regarding one of the processes that I actually had to automate, which was in the insurance domain. So we were working for a subrogation project. So basically there, what used to happen was there was a particular portal where many cases used to come on a day-to-day basis. And the people who are actually working from the operation side, they always used to get those cases and they used to always work on it. The complexity here was each day you can get around even 25 cases, sometimes even it can go to 30 cases. And for if I'm doing it manually by myself, right, it can take me around 15 to 20 minutes. So you can just imagine how much headache it can be, because again, you are going into multiple applications. The most challenging part of this automation was the number of applications. Even when it came to us, we were also very amazed. Okay, there are 7 to 8 applications that we need to automate in one process at once. Okay. So when they also came up with us, the benefits, there were a lot of, I would say, a road, okay, it is going to be it is going to reduce a lot of efforts from their end. It is going to reap a lot of benefits. So we went into it. We saw that what they were doing. So what we saw was the process that they were following. They were going to one application, maybe application A, then they're going to application B. So what we thought was, why not first go and do everything that is in one application altogether? Because they were always switching back into the applications. When they go to A, then they might go to B, they take some details, then they again might come back to A. So what we did was we came up with an approach so that we can do all the common steps in one particular application. Once we do it, then we go to the next application. And if, let's say, after that, some kind of maybe, let's say, some dependency is there again on that same application, then we can come back to that. So when we designed it in such a way, when we broke it into multiple pieces and when we combined that entire thing into an automation workflow, it worked wonders for us. If I have to tell you the exact benefit that we got, you can just say that for each case, what we saw was for every case, we were getting a reduction of from 15 minutes to at least 5 to 8 minutes. And when you combine it into an overall picture, because you are getting 25 cases to 30 cases on an average, and then on peak months, I would say that volume can even go till 50 cases. So it was a very, I would say, a very huge roar among the team as well. And one more benefit that we got, I will tell you, and this is what I think is the most important. That was we were able to introduce a lot of audit practices in between. There were reviews that were happening. So what happens is many times we do not review also whenever we are doing some certain process. So here when the bot is doing something and it is assigning that task to the human worker for some of the cases, they can go ahead and they can review it. They can bring some audit practices in between so as to also improve the process in a much, I would say, secure way. So all those benefits, this one automation process gave us just because of this jigsaw puzzle concept that we had.
That last bit where you talk about digital workers assigning work to humans is just brilliant. When we start to really think about the interflow and the interlacing of work between human and digital is where it really gets exciting. As I mentioned at the beginning, I look after the Blue Prism customer experience. And I also think it's just amazing how what you're doing internally to companies is impacting their customers' experience, giving them time back in their day and making them happier customers of your customers, which is brilliant. Wow, the first part of this discussion has been terrific. I really look forward to part 2 of the discussion on our next podcast. Thanks to each of you from WonderBotz for your participation. This is Xina saying bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to Transform Now. For more insightful discussions on digital transformation and more, check out our podcast channel where you'll find all of our previous episodes. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player. And if you like what you heard, please leave us a review. For more information about digital transformation and the future of work, check out blueprism.com to learn how Blue Prism's digital workforce is enabling enterprise transformation now.